Hi, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. I finally made it to the House of Commons to give David Cameron a piece of my mind, Stacy Herbert.
Yes, indeed. Max Keiser, David Cameron gets STFU'd by Max Keiser.
And to the lawless minority, the criminals who have taken what they can get, I say this. We will track you down, we will find you, we will charge you, we will punish you. You will pay for what you have done.
STFU. STFU, David Cameron, because you're completely off base here. You are a total product of an elitist school of banking schmucks. Here it's blatantly obvious that your own bankers are financially raping your people. Right up there, Cameron! And I'll be in London soon enough. You know, we just got back from Ireland. We're doing our world tour to visit all the hot spots around the world as we push back against the criminal banking class, warming up for the Great Inquisition part numero 0012. Yeah, impale them, put their heads on spikes, looking forward to it. What else?
Well, speaking of the global financial nincompoops, they, of course, were meeting down in Nice last week. And one of the talks to emerge was in this next headline, Bundesbank. Central bank reserves will not help fund EFSF. So G20 leaders in Cannes discussed the idea that the European system of central banks could pawn their total foreign exchange reserves of 50 to 60 billion euros to a trust of the European Crisis Fund in the form of special drawing rights from the International Monetary Fund.
Gold is in play. This is what we've been warning you about for a long, long time, that gold is going to be in play. Now it's definitely in play because all of the banks with all of these debts, when you add them all up, you realize that all of the banks are insolvent. The counterparty risk, as it's called, doesn't exist because there is no possibility of any of these counterparties making good on any of these bets. There's only one currency in the world without a counterparty risk. That's gold. It's in play. Now people want Germany's gold, but of course most of it's in New York, and the gold thing continues, as we've been telling you.
Now the Bundesbank itself said regarding this plan for Germany to pawn $15 billion worth of Germans' gold, he said, we know this plan and we reject it.
Good luck. Good luck rejecting it. It's 60% held in New York. And you're not allowed to have a military after we crushed you after World War II. So good luck with that, Germany. Luck, 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 luck.
Well, you did pre-warn them in 2009. You were in Frankfurt, and here's a little clip of you there telling them exactly this plan.
Don't do it, German people. Hold on to your gold. Gold has value. The U.S. dollar has no value. It's the devil's currency. Hold on to your gold, German people.
As you see, Max, nobody was listening to you. They should have.
No, I mean, when central banks were net sellers of gold, including the Federal Reserve Bank and Bank of England, that's when Germany should have said, oh, by the way, give us back our gold. But now that gold's in play and all the global banks are collapsing, it's too late. You screwed up, Germany. No gold for you, buddy.
Okay, well, at least, Max, Germany is not a serious debtor like Italy. Eurozone crisis, Italian borrowing costs soar to bail out territory. So we know Italian debt is at $2.6 trillion, which dwarfs that of Greece. And the yield on the Italian 10-year bond went up to 6.66%. As you can see from this chart, it spiked.
Right. Italy is now going to take the hot seat away from Greece, who took the hot seat away from Ireland. But the whole crisis will revisit Ireland again. They just found an incredible new unrealized liability in their bank's balance sheet that will require another bailout in Ireland and more austerity measures. Speaking of Ireland, Stacey, I was just in Limerick at Limerick University. They gave me this award, the Limerick University Debating Team. This is for contributions to financial journalism. What does it say, Stacey?
It says honorary life membership accorded to Max Keiser for his contribution to debate and discourse. They must have seen your discourse at the dispatch box with David Cameron.
Yes, well, the contributions I made apparently to the art of discourse and debating is my use of props.
Wait, that's true.
They love the props. And they like props like this. Like here's a 50-euro roll of toilet currency. All of your 50-euro toilet paper currency will soon be about as valuable as this toilet paper. Except this is all available and nightly printed up in this beautiful display case that you can show in your house and tell your kids all about what happened in Europe at the end of the beginning when it was all turned into one big pile of feces.
Now, regarding Italy, Max, Faisal Islam, who is the economics editor for Channel 4 News in the UK, I said it a fortnight ago, EFSF equals end for Silvio's fiefdom. Germany will not create Italy-sized bazooka for use by Berlusconi. Now, remember, Germany has a lot of say in what happens in the Eurozone, particularly when it comes to monetary or any fiscal policy. And now, remember, Silvio Berlusconi, in the investigation into one of the various crimes he's involved with, the phone transcripts from his conversation with a journalist said that he had called German Chancellor Angela Merkel an unbelievable lard. So it's coming back to bite him now.
Well, this is the amazing thing, because ultimately they're going to fight World War III in Europe and around the world as part of the currency war. And we'll be talking about that with James Rickards after the break. But it's already started. Europe is now in a war. They're conducting a currency war. And Germany can always pull out of the euro completely, but it'll be a reunified Germany with 3,000 tons of gold. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the whole point of it, wasn't it?
Well, speaking of the gold, okay, now Angela Merkel's party suggested Italian gold sale raised by CDU lawmaker Rheinische Post says. So Italy, according to Gunther Grickbaum, a lawmaker in German Chancellor Angela Merkel's party, says Italy could lower its debt by selling gold reserves. So this is, again, over and over we see this brought up in this European debt crisis, that somebody should get rid of their gold. And now they're trying to use this as a weapon. They're accusing each other that they have to get rid of their gold. Take his gold, take their gold.
Right. Italy has, 2,700 tons of gold. It's a really big position. And I make this prediction. China never really came to the aid of Greece. They have not come to the aid of anyone in the Eurozone, but they will come to the aid of Italy in exchange for gold. I make that prediction. But before we're on next week, that will be definitely in play. China to aid Italy for gold. According to the CNBC chart from September, Italy's gold reserves were the fourth largest in the world. They held 2,701 tons, which was valued at $157 billion. Now, if you add that into the $2.6 trillion in debt, that means that gold would have to be revalued to between $25,000 and $30,000 an ounce to clear their debts completely. And I think that's something that you and Jim Rickards have come up with as a number. Yeah, that's where gold is headed, to clear the global debts. It's going to be north of $20,000 old dollars an ounce. But the thing about China and Italy is that China will come in, and before the IMF sinks their claws into Italy and gets them to sign a memorandum giving away their constitutional rights, as they did with Ireland and as they did with Greece, Italy will preempt the IMF and they'll do a deal directly, bilateral deal with China. I predict it. You'll see this is going to happen. But speaking of buffoons, Max, let's move on to this. Traders from Chicago Board of Trade dump McDonald's applications on Occupy Chicago protesters. So last week, in the middle of an Occupy Chicago teach-in, traders at the Chicago Board of Trade dumped employment applications for McDonald's on the protesters. Now, to let people know what the Chicago Board of Trade is, I looked it up on Wikipedia, and they say it was established in 1848 as the world's oldest futures and options exchange. Now, in 2007, it merged with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange to form the CME Group. Yeah, and the CME Group is also the largest regulator of the futures markets in the U.S., but it's also the largest player in the futures markets in the U.S., and they fall under the heading of self-regulated body that conducts business according to the rules that they themselves regulating themselves. And what we know about the CME is that they've been caught now several times breaking the law. And the CBOE, the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, and the Chicago Board of Futures Exchange, they're at the heart of the fraudulent derivatives trading and at the fraudulent trading that goes on every single day, the law breaking that goes on. But the CME, for example, tell them more about this. It's really shocking.
Well, we're going to move on to this headline. So they're saying to the protesters, get a job, but they can't even do their job. MF Global customers say money safeguards failed them. CME Group, the world's largest futures exchange, is responsible for auditing its clearing members, such as MF Global, under its authority as a self-regulating organization. Now, CME Group is losing the trust of investors, according to this article in Bloomberg Businessweek, who uses the exchange and expect their money to be protected, said a trader with $500,000 in an MF Global account that has been frozen since October 31st and who asked not to be named because he fears reprisals. He also said that CME Group told him to expect not to get his money back for years as it's held up in litigation.
Well, when you do business with the commodity markets in Chicago, regulated by the CME Group, and you give them your money to be investing in various accounts, they put that money in their own pocket, and then they put up a set of false accounts to the regulators that they themselves regulate. And that's how they base their quarterly performance numbers, and their filings is based on a completely fictitious reports. They falsify accounts. They commit massive fraud. They commit massive counterfeiting.
This is the closest to a Marie Antoinette moment we've had, because it was the royal family of France that caused the country to be bankrupt at the time. And perhaps Marie Antoinette thought she wasn't taunting the population intentionally like these guys are.
Yeah.
But these guys at this derivatives exchange, the largest derivatives market in the world, they are responsible more than almost anybody else for the global financial crisis that we see before us.
Yeah, the only question is, where can I go to start an insurrection? So, I mean, is it Chicago? Is it Greece? I'm thinking Belfast, because you know, they know what it takes to start an insurrection. And I'm getting a lot of requests to go up to Belfast to start a new country called the Independent Republic of Max Keiser. And we're going to go after the banksters. So Belfast, I'm coming into your town soon.
Are you going to declare this in Parliament when you do go speak to David Cameron again?
There won't be any Parliament left by the time I get there. I'm pursuing a scorched earth policy ahead of when I arrive. That's how bad I am. All right, Stacy Herbert, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thank you, Max.
Don't go away. After the break, I'll be talking with Currency Wars writer James Rickards.
Observe nature and discover its beauty. Communicate with the wild and learn. Test yourself and become free. See what nature can give you on RT.